IBIO, they have earnings coming up on 9/20. Right now they're currently at $1.14. As you look forward to them, they've had a high of $2.83. They keep a modest volume pushing and turning over. As you go through and look at them, one thing I can say is they don't have a dividend. I think the last report I saw on a dividend was 2018. As they go through year to date, they're down a little bit, which means they have a lot of room to bump up and move. One thing to remember with them is they did go into an agreement where they paid out like $5 million ahead of time. And they have, I think, like another 2.5 due coming in December. If this deal continues to go through the way it is, that once they're no longer paying on that deal and they have exclusive rights, you'll see this stock bump up. Right here I did a 10-year graph looking back, and October 31st, 2014, they were at $10. Going back a little farther, on the 10-year, you could see where they're at $20. Right now, they're currently a little bit over $1. With this stock right now, you can definitely tell with them that if you look back to July 24th, 2020, they're at $5.50. If you put that as a high mark to aim for, they can definitely get back to doubling up and being back over $2 pretty soon. Going into 2022 with the rise of inflation and the cost of everything, they definitely have potential to keep gaining. They're above where I believe where their lower mark was, and they're starting to trend back upwards. As they do this, going through this year, and then you look into 2022, I could definitely see this stock going back up in 2022 to 2023 towards that 550 mark. Right now, a high aim would be $2.62. On February 9th, 2021, they're at that price point. Right now, they need to rise back up, and they need to at least get to that 262, and then they need a trajectory forward. I would say that it would be after December when they would probably be pushing a high mark to continue to shoot up. But you never know with the market. It could be any time. When you look at IBIO, though, and I draw some lines, and you go through and look, you can definitely see in a short term where they could definitely rise back up to $1.48 from $1.14. They rose up to $1.48. I could see them going up and staying between that $1.48 and $1.65 mark, where once they get through those resistance and they can get past the $1.48 and get through the resistance at $1.65, then they can shoot their trajectory up and they can surpass that $1.83 and head towards that $2 mark going into 2022, 2023. I think going towards December, I would say that I would think that they would be heading towards that $1.65 and being able to maintain above that $1.65 going through the end of the year and heading towards that $1.83. Once again, anything's a risk, anything's a gamble, and with stocks like this, at any given time, something could change and they could definitely shoot up and skyrocket, or they could just kind of stay in a holding pattern. If you look at the last 3 months, though, they kind of built down on a low coming into another quarter, though. They're doing a report. As the report comes out, I would say that they're probably going to shoot up, though, at least another 40 cents by the end of September after their report comes out. And as you enter October, you could see them staying above that $1.60 and heading towards that $1.65 mark we talked about. As you do this, they're on the short term, maybe by the end of the week, or maybe they'll drop down a little lower, and then next week you'll see them rise back up. I would say the next target would be for them to be towards that $1.32 mark. once they get towards that $1.32 mark, then you'll start to see them rise towards like $1.48, towards $1.65. When you look at their quarterly earning calls, they've had some where they beat it quite a bit. So if they get one where they report quite a bit of revenue and they have a high mark that they beat, you could definitely see this stock shoot up in price. When you look at percentage of float shorted, they're at 7.11. So with the shorting on the float, and you start to look at that, if people need to buy and cover, you could definitely see that push up on that side to make this stock rise a little bit as well. When you look at a breakdown of who holds, there's 112 institutions holding shares. So they have a pretty large number there. And when you go through and you actually look, though, shares held by all the insiders is kind of low. But when you go over and you look at some of the institutions holding, like BlackRock, and ones that are popular, Charles Schwab is on the list. There's many institutions holding, so look at who's holding in that company when you're investing. Make sure that you can get in where you want to. As you look at their sales growth, though, and you look at forecasted forward, though, either way, they average around 100% sales growth year over. So this company is just continuing to grow on their sales side, and they'll just continue. They're definitely tapping into some AI stuff, and as they go into like FastPharming and other things, you can definitely see them pushing and propelling forward in the new age era going forward. And that's not just in the US, that's worldwide. And we're pushing towards the space era again. So with space, who knows what's possible in the future for a company like this and where they can really go to. When you look at their total cash and you look at their total debt, but then you do a breakdown per share and where they are, I can definitely see those numbers rising up in the future with the more sales they bring in. They'll definitely be pushing these numbers forward. So when you look at IBIO acquires equity stake and RUBRYC, look them up, check them out, and that's part of that. An agreement with the RTX-003 FastPharming manufacturing system, worldwide exclusive, AI based. This is another one, Glycaneering. So do as much information as you can with them. And once again, you can start to build your own intuition, build your own backstory behind a company and what you can believe in a company being able to do, the possibilities, the forward movement, what you can see coming out of some of these companies. And when you're looking at therapeutics, you're looking at vaccines, it's definitely one of those that's with the worldwide global pandemic, it's ramping up more and more in places. So as you get into fast farming, pharma, how plants could speed up vaccine manufacturers to tackle the COVID pandemic. It's all about the potential vaccines. So it's all about what can come out of things in the future. You're definitely not just looking at 2021 now. We're 3/4 of the way through. So you need to look at 2022, 2023, 2024, where we may be headed in the future. And that's going towards that 2026 to 2030 era. So as we look 10, 15 years into the future, what are the potential vaccines and what are some things these companies can come up with? I think IBIO definitely has definitely a good foothold, and they have a strong position to become a well-known household name. So do your research. Remember, just here paying it forward with the information. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a stockbroker. I'm just a blue-collar worker. I'm just trying to put information out there about companies that you may end up coming across that name, and you may be in an industry that links with that it may be something that's even in a job growth opportunity to look at where jobs are going to be forming, where things need to be made, manufacturing, all that stuff. It all ties into place with everything. So I hope everybody has a good week. I just wanted to throw this one out there because they got earnings coming up and let people know ahead of time. Have a good week.